Hello, Pete Lockett here. Now, I want to show you a little bit about my app, DrumJam, with my friend Jesse at Sonosaurus. So, let's have a look. So it's a pretty cool app. It's DrumJam. It's I'll show you the basic idea of it. So this is the main window we have here. So this area here is pan and volume, and this is all the loop instruments. Now it's all acoustic audio, so it's all me playing. So let's just take the tempo down a little bit. We'll pop a few instruments here. Let's start with cajon. We put it in the center there. So we've got volume and pan. So that's the main window. So let's pop a few African briquette, Chinese gong. Crash is always good. Folk drum, Indian dolak. Udu, it's a very cool drum. African drums, Pandero, that on the other side there. It's one of my handmade drums at home, the pineapple rick. Depending on your device, you can just put loads and loads of different stuff in there. So then you've got your basic filters. You just select which instruments you want filtered. Back to the volume and pan. Now we've got the randomize buttons, so we can keep the instruments the same here, but change the pattern. So you'll see it change here, change pending. Now it'll change. and again. Now what you've got here, these are the solo pads, and you can solo over the top of them, so just by dragging your finger. So these are all your solo instruments. It's all acoustically recorded audio. These samples of these are like 30 layers deep. And so we had the like pitch and so there's loads of different instruments to choose from. You've got fade in and fade out as well. You can also randomize the instruments by pressing this button here. So now it's completely different. This will be the single. It's literally, utterly millions of variations possible. Bit of electro stuff, pop in there. And you can create some really interesting things. It's designed to be completely, you know, hybrid sort of percussion instrument, in that it's not trying to be specifically Latin or specifically Indian. It's really a hybrid mix, very much like my musical personality is mixing hybrid things in together, and you know, loop pitch. So with the loop pitch you've got a lot of scope to do different stuff. And we've got loads of tuned instruments we can put on the top, like balafon for example. So there's fade in and fade out. Loads of effects and you know, so many different tap tempo and different, you know, we can go from 200 BPM down to 60 BPM. Now in the settings there's loads of MIDI stuff, so you can record everything and export it as WAV files, or you can upload it to SoundCloud or email it, or you know, all that stuff. You can set it up so your computer can see this as a hard drive and just drag and drop all of the stuff. Loads of huge amount of MIDI options and different things. But also, you know, in an educational sense, if you're thinking about you know, you're playing with this and you hear the Kanjira, for example, and you think, you know, what's the Kanjira? I've never heard of the Kanjira. Let's have a little look. You can go into the instrument information, and you can find out all about the instrument here. You know, this is the Remo tunable Kanjira, how to hold it, you know, basic playing strokes, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff in there for all the different instruments. So it's a pretty cool, and there's also drum store. So there's lots of other packs you can download, and lots of different instruments. So it's a pretty cool app. You see, we've got just the number of instruments. We've got anklang, balafon, different wooden balafon, metal balafon, bendir, bongos, butone, metallic, cluster drums, congas set, contraption. Now this is my my Mapex drum set actually. Just double tap or you can drag them in. Yeah, so this is. It's all very uncompressed, so it's actually very organic and you know, sounds pretty cool. But to just describe the basic principle of the solo pads, if I just go to the Pandero patch for the solo pad, I just want to explain how this works, because my concept is that we've got bass, bass, hi-hat, and snare in terms of the tonal range of the instrument. Obviously, Pandera, it's not bass; it's just the bass tone, kind of like snare tone. And the idea is that you drag your central point is the hi-hat sound, which would be the the stroke on the. So just by dragging, you can kind of create some pretty cool things. Obviously, once you start to get into the effects, there's massive amount of possibilities. And then by dragging faster, you get little fills, which is pretty cool. Then we've got the Bedlam effects. Now, with all of this, we've got randomization options of pitch depth, pan, reverse of instruments, little cluster buzzes, stuff like that. So if I slowly put the Bedlam up, I mean, I'm putting it up quite extremely, but then you kind of hear the what's available. And there's some really cool instruments here. Some great drummers: Scott Pilgrim, Russ Miller, Steve Sadelnik, Johnny Rabb. They've all done kits for the. And again, going back to the idea of it being the hi-hat, bass drum, and snare drum on the three main pads that you solo from. So even with the kits, it's the same. The bass on the left, the snare drum on the right, and the hi-hat in the middle. And the pads are basically, it's velocity. And these are all like 30, 35 layers deep, the samples. So I'm playing down here, it's really quiet. So, and of course, you can trigger this from your ATV drum set or electronic drums that you use. Now, a couple of things that I think are useful in terms of, like for drummers, for example, for practicing. It's a really useful device, and say, metronomes are great to work stuff out to in a mathematical way, in a very precise way. But using the app is kind of cool musically, because you can you can get some ideas for different patterns. So let's just look at some of the presets. Look at we'll have 4-part bongo and conga, kind of Latin-ish vibe. Oh, we got the pitch. We got the pitch there. So you can be practicing along. And of course, you think, you practice, maybe you can, I think, just randomize it again. It's a different pattern. And you can come up with a different pattern on the drum. It's cool to practice to, because it's acoustic audio, and it's, and of course the pads are always in time with the tempo. So if this was, so lots of stuff you can do with it, certainly for practicing. And then also for drum circles, it's pretty cool, because there are a lot of presets here, or you could take in all of the instruments that you've got, in your drum circle. Maybe maybe you've got let's load an empty patch. Maybe in your drum circle you've got let's say you've got bongos. You just drag them in or double tap them. Let's say you've got bongos, you've got cajon, you've got congas, cowbell, let's have a, a panique. Let's say just you got these instruments in your drum circle, and then you can and timbales. There you go. I won't put timbales. That's too much like the thing. The doob, Dion Dublin's doob. That's pretty cool. Right. So this is your take it down again, and you can make your parts up. And just you can take them down, or you can go into the mute and solo, so you can mute different parts, and then you can write down what that's playing, write down this part, and then kind of build up your your drum circle. And then of course, because you've got the instrument there, all the instruments there, so you can then just generate random patterns. And kind of just come up with loads of different variations for your drum circle as well. So loads of different stuff in here. Loads of really like kind of interesting. I mean, some of the tune stuff is pretty cool. Like some of the balafon, for example, is loads of different stuff that it sounds pretty. There's one other thing. Some of the electronic drums are great as well. And bear in mind, you can trigger all these with your electronic drum set. So an enormous amount of stuff: frame drums, cowbells, so an infinite amount of stuff, and also lots of like textures, seed pods, stuff like that. So you can kind of create some loads of sound effects. And of course, as soon as you start to pitch that down, you combine that with all the effects in it. There's an enormous amount of options you can do. So this is DrumJam. I hope you've enjoyed spending time, listening to what's possible on it. It's a very cool little thing. I'm very proud of it and very happy to be working with Sonosaurus on this app. So do pop by the links that I've put with this email. And thanks to Online Lessons for filming this video. And see you soon.